Thank you all for coming. My name is Mike Yassa. I am the director for UCI Brain Initiative, which you'll hear quite a bit about today, and you'll hear, of course, from many colleagues that are working on brain-related projects. I'm not going to take up too much time now to tell you about the initiative because I will spend some time going through slides to tell you more about it later. But I'd like to kick off the program just by introducing our Vice Chancellor for Research, Professor Pramod Khargonekar, to kick us off.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for organizing this event. It's a real pleasure for me to be here with you to kick off this launch event. I should begin with an apology. I need to leave right after my comments, so it's no disrespect to anybody here. I know there are some wonderful people in the audience, and it will be a very exciting program, which I'm going to mostly miss because I have another job to do. So once again, a warm welcome, and it's a real pleasure to be here. As I was thinking about what to say, some ideas came to me, and I'm going to share those with you. Hope you'll find it interesting. As some of you know, before coming to UCI in summer of 2016, I was with the National Science Foundation as the head of its engineering directorate. As it happened, I joined NSF in very early March of 2013. Soon after I got there, within days, we were told that we needed to plan for a White House event where President Obama would announce the Brain Initiative. And I got involved in a whole number of discussions about the Brain Initiative right from pretty much day one of me being at NSF. I'll come to those discussions in a minute, but let me recount for you. On April 2nd, 2013, there was this White House event in the East, and this was my first time I went to White House for many of these things during my time, where President Obama gave a speech in the East Room of the White House, and I certainly don't want to go over his entire speech, but there was a piece of it that I thought I would quote for you this morning. And I quote, "As humans, we can identify galaxies light years away, we can study particles smaller than an atom, but we still haven't unlocked the mystery of the 3 pounds of matter that sits between our ears. But today, scientists possess the capability to study individual neurons and figure out the main function of certain areas of the brain. But a human brain contains almost 100 billion neurons making trillions of connections. So Dr. Collins says, referring to Francis Collins, that it's like listening to the string section and trying to figure out what the whole orchestra sounds like. As a result, we are still unable to cure diseases like Alzheimer's or autism or fully reverse the effects of a stroke. And the most powerful computer in the world isn't nearly as intuitive as the one we are born with. So there is this enormous mystery waiting to be unlocked, and the Brain Initiative will change that by giving scientists the tools that they need to get a dynamic picture of the brain in action and better understand how we think and how we learn and how we remember. And that knowledge will be transformative." End of quote. It was a fantastic event. Luminaries from all parts of science establishment were there. OSTP Director John Holdren, NIH Director Francis Collins, NSF's acting director, Dr. Cora Merritt, DARPA Director Arti Prabhakar, leaders of the many foundations, including the Kavli Foundation, were in the room. And then each federal agency went about figuring out what they were going to do, as President had announced this Brain Initiative, and we, the agencies, were supposed to execute on this initiative. NIH chartered a Blue Ribbon panel, and that they endorsed a vision that was developed by that Blue Ribbon panel. And I quote again, "The human brain is the source of our thoughts, emotions, perceptions, actions, and memories. It confers on us the abilities to make us human while simultaneously making each of us unique. Over recent years, neuroscience has advanced to the level that we can envision a comprehensive understanding of the brain in action, spanning molecules, cells, circuits, systems, and behavior." So it's this last bit that NIH embraced as its role in the Brain Initiative. DARPA went about doing brain-machine interfaces, made huge investments. So I won't speak to what DARPA did. At NSF, we decided to use the overarching concept of understanding the brain for NSF's contribution to the Brain Initiative. I quote from what NSF put out, which was the work of for a lot of people. The NSF Brain Initiative aims to generate an array of physical and conceptual tools needed to determine how healthy brains function over the lifespan of humans and other organisms, and to develop a workforce to create and implement these tools aimed at establishing a more comprehensive understanding of how thoughts, memories, and actions emerge from dynamic activities in the brain. Different directorates put out different types of programs. One of the ones that engineering took a major lead on was integrative strategies for understanding neural and cognitive systems. It spawned research projects to bridge temporal and spatial scales, levels of abstraction, levels of analysis, and disciplinary and methodological approaches. While we were doing this work at NSF, we were informed by many of our colleagues that a similar project in Europe wasn't going so well. That project was called Human Brain Project, or HBP for short, and it was coming under some criticism. In 2013, the European Union had given Dr. Henry Markram $1.3 billion for a single project with an audacious goal, building a simulation of the human brain. There was considerable backlash against that award and dispute with this project that was under the direction of Dr. Markram. This climaxed in a full-scale uprising in the summer of 2014, where hundreds of researchers across Europe signed a critical open letter to the European Commission. I quote from a Nature editorial on March 24, 2015, a year after the letter was written. In 2015 March, Nature published this editorial. I quote, "An independent committee was established to investigate and mediate on this dispute. Last week, it published its report. This time, the main points were easier for outsiders to decipher. The rebellious neuroscientists who made the complaints were correct. The brain project is failing and must be fixed." This was uppermost in our minds, so that not to repeat the mistakes that were made in EU and to get it right in the United States. 5 years have elapsed between that time and 2019. And certainly for 3 years I've been here, so not really deeply involved in what's been going on. And so I decided to figure out what's the current take on the Brain Initiative in the United States. And I quote, there was a recent SFN meeting, Society for Neuroscience meeting, where Dr. Koroshetz of NIH spoke, and I quote from his speech, "We are preparing and entering the second half of the Brain Initiative. The focus remains the same, to understand how brain circuit function enables everything we do, and how disordered brain circuits contribute to neurological, mental, and substance use disorders." So for the most part, as I read between the lines of this, the vision has really not changed that much. I think I would expect that the coming 4 or 5 years, there will be some modulation of what has been happening, but I think it's going to be pretty much the main ideas of spanning across scales, temporal and spatial scales, and focus on circuits, dynamic circuits, and so forth, for both healthy brain and neurological disorders, is likely to be in the focus. With that backdrop, I believe that UCI is very, very well positioned to contribute to the Brain Initiative. We certainly have a storied past. Our colleagues have laid the foundations of the field, and work in various areas of neuroscience is happening in all schools. I see there is a big program on the artistic brain this afternoon. I see Dean Parker sitting in the audience. And so certainly UCI has a very expansive vision of what it can do to contribute to neuroscience and to the Brain Initiative. We certainly have been investing quite heavily in making all of this happen. A lot of this work will require collaboration, and so we have supported the Team Scholarship Acceleration Initiative, Acceleration Lab, and I see Dan Stopel sitting here, who's one of the leaders of that effort. We certainly have been investing in infrastructure, imaging, various kinds of imaging facilities just in the last few years, also in computational infrastructure. And we have, across the institution, a number of large research projects. I see Tally sitting here, the Conti Center that just got $15 million not too long ago. But that's just one. I mean, we have the Alzheimer's Disease Research Center. We have a whole bunch of major projects that are going on at UCI that promise tremendous success for the future. So as I close my thoughts this morning, I want to first of all congratulate everybody who's involved in realizing the tremendous promise of research in this field. And working together, we certainly have no ceiling to our success. So I wish everybody the very best. Hope it will be an enlightening and productive launch event, and then productive year, 2-3 years of activity under the Brain Initiative. Thank you for your leadership, Mike, and I turn it back over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pramod, for kicking off the program and giving us really a historical background on the Brain Initiative and importantly, what UCI's role in this can be. Up next, I'd like to introduce a colleague and a friend, Mr. Ivan Williams, UCI Foundation Trustee and Advisory Board Chair for the UCI Brain Initiative. He is also a brilliant, award-winning filmmaker and a very passionate individual who I've had the pleasure of knowing just over the last year and really getting to him over the last year. And he has been very much a steadfast supporter of UCI Brain, and I'd like to invite him to say a few words. Ivan.
Good morning, and thank you, Michael and Pramod. I'm here today not only to add to those inspiring words of welcome, but I'm here today to express my excitement about one of the most exciting brain initiatives in the world, which basically is a pretty bold statement for someone who's not a trained neuroscientist. But as a filmmaker, I know about the power of storytelling. And today is about creating and illuminating a narrative about UC Irvine making a bold step forward in expanding our understanding of the brain. And as usual, we will be doing this in a way that is taking us a step out from anyone else in doing it. Our approach to creating a cross-disciplinary set of themes centered on computational health, social, and artistic brain will bring together incredibly diverse talents and ideas unlike anything we've seen before. When Michael invited me to the table today, I really wondered why a neuroscientist would want a Hollywood filmmaker to be involved in such an undertaking. I then realized it made perfect sense. Our love of storytelling, of the arts, is all centered on the brain. And our understanding how our brains react to the arts can offer a really exciting area of research and possibly new insights in how to make that next blockbuster film or Broadway musical. And as a former chemical engineer, I could not resist getting on board an initiative that combines science, technology, and the arts that will break new ground in our understanding of the brain. For me, the artistic brain is one of the most differential aspects of the UC Irvine Brain Initiative. This diverse transdisciplinary theme will foster innovative research and education programs at the interface of neuroscience and the performing arts, explore the neurocomputational basis of aesthetic creativity, and develop links between artistic expression and brain health and social relationships. All of this leads to serving as a pathway to better engagement in our society and our communities. Yesterday, I watched Damien Chazelle's film, First Man. It's a story of Neil Armstrong and the many others who helped him accomplish the impossible. I think, like the incredible landing on the moon, the UC Irvine Brain Initiative will be one big step for man, but one giant leap in mankind's understanding of the brain. So if you like hearing about being a part of something that is adventurous, bold, ambitious, and amazing, you came to the right place today. I invite each of you, your friends, your colleagues, and your family to join us in getting involved in UC Irvine's Moonshot. So please get on board, strap on your seatbelt, because today we are blasting off to a brilliant future about the brain. Thank you.